Hello guys, this is Becca. I am here with the open collab hashtag Thursday BookTube. This collab is hosted by Patty at Life with Patty and Daphne at My Mountain Home and Kitchen. Sounds like my husband's driving up. I may have to pause this video. What you do for Thursday BookTube is you share anything concerning books. You can share a book you're reading. You can share going to the library. It doesn't matter as long as it's concerning books. So for this week, last week Patty did a tag. She created a tag of 15 questions for us to answer concerning books. And I told her that I would do the tag this week for Thursday's BookTube. And so that's what I'm going to be doing today. I mainly just have this sitting here for you to look at while I answer the questions. Like I said, there are 15 questions, and this tag was created by Patty herself. So I am going to get started. Question number 1. Who is your favorite female author? So I would have to say at this point right now, my favorite female author is Linda Goodnight. Yes, that's her name. Linda Goodnight. Now, I want to go ahead and put out here, I only read Christian books. I do like Christian romance, but if you get a good Christian romance, you know, there's really no romance in it. The only thing is a man and a woman does fall in love and end up, you know, at the end of the book, maybe they get married or whatever, but there's not really romance in the book. And I don't like anything other than Christian romance. I'm very picky about the books I read because I want to make sure what I read is going to be clean with no sex scenes in it, no high emotion scenes in it or anything like that. I don't want anything like that. I don't want anything with bad words in it. So I'm very picky with I'm very picky with the books I read. So Linda Goodnight is a Christian author. And I also want to throw in here real quick, I mainly read like the love-inspired books. I have read other books like this that I will be talking about later in these questions. But at this point, I mainly read love-inspired because I know what I'm getting. Also, it's not as long of a book. I guess my attention span doesn't last as long as it used to and stuff like that. You know, it's a shorter book. It's an easy read that I can just pick up and read a few pages and put it down, you know. So, you know, all that being said, when I answer these questions, it will be concerning that type of book. Okay. So, who is your favorite male author? As far as a book, now, I have my favorite male author in the Bible, which is Paul. I love Paul's writings in the Bible. But as far as reading these type books, I don't know that I've ever read a male author. I cannot recall if I have ever read a male author. If I did, it was a long time ago and I don't remember it. Don't remember. Who was it that wrote And it's children's books, young adults, young children's books. I I can't even think. It's Nancy Drew and who was the boy? The Hardy Boys. Who wrote those books? I don't remember if it was a male author. I used to read the Hardy Boys. That would be the close to male author as I could think of if it was a male author. I can't even remember if it was. Okay, so number 3, favorite book of all times. I really don't know if I have a favorite book of all times. I have never really went back and read a book once I've read it the first time. I've heard people say that they love that book, that they've read so much, they loved it so much, they read it over and over. I can't say I've done that. Now, I may have read, like I said, Nancy Drew or Hardy Boys, one of those over again, because I couldn't remember reading it earlier or whatever. But I don't really have a book that I just would go back to and want to read over and over. So I guess I don't have one. Number 4, do you prefer to read a real book or a book on a device like a Kindle or a Nook or your phone or whatever, you know? I used to, well, back when we didn't have digital, I loved the books. But my husband bought me a Kindle probably 20 years ago. I guess it was. We was in the trailer over at the church when he bought it for me. I don't remember how many years ago it was. But anyway, I guess since then, I really preferred reading. I had an actual Kindle device when he first bought it for me. Now I have the Kindle app on my phone, and I really prefer to read on my phone than to have a physical book. I don't know why. I prefer it because I've got my book with me, you know, because I have my phone with me wherever I go. So I have my book with me wherever I go when I read it on my phone. And one thing I like about it is when I was reading the physical books, I love to read when I go to bed. I like to lay down in my bed and read. And I would always have problems. I would try to get book lights and different things that it wouldn't disturb my husband when I was reading. And I always had problems with that, reading a physical book, because I love to read once I get in the bed at night. So having it on my phone, I can read it at night and it not disturb my husband because it's on my phone. So I prefer reading on my phone. Okay, number 5, where do you buy the majority of your books? Well, now I buy them on Amazon because I buy from the Kindle app. But I used to buy my books. I would go to like a used bookstore and get my books that I read. Or I would go, our library here in town back in the day, when I went out and went to the library, they had a section of the, you know, the soft cover books. And, you know, when I say soft cover, I mean the little, like the love-inspired type, little small type books, not these kind. They had a section that you could swap books. You could bring in a certain amount and then pick that same certain amount back out. And so I did a lot of swapping with the library like that. But then, you know, again, now I do most of my reading. I do most of my reading on my device, on my phone. But I want to say I do have some books that has been gifted me, and physical books that I want to read, and I have a stack of physical books that I had collected from back in the day that's in my bedside little stand that I do want to eventually get around to reading. But I always grab my app. Another thing that draws me to the app, to the Kindle app, is they have challenges, you know, that you read a certain amount, certain days, and things like that just kind of boosts me to, you know, it helps me to read. And when I go back to my physical book, see, I don't have that recorded on my Kindle app, and I love reading on my app. But I will eventually, hopefully, get around to reading all those physical books. It may take me the rest of my life, but hopefully I'm going to try to read one book in between a book on my app to get those read. Okay. Number 6, do you keep your books or get rid of them? Well, I have went through spurts back when I was, you know, when I didn't have a Kindle. I would get books and I would keep them and stack them up on shelves until I had no more room. And if you've been around very long, you know I hate clutter. And once the bookshelves would get so cluttered, so full, I would take them to the library. Back then, we didn't have the little libraries around town. I would take them, donate them to the library. If I'd try to sell them, if I couldn't sell them, I'd take them and donate them to the library. So I've always pretty much, I might keep them for a while, but I've pretty much get rid of my books. And as I'm reading my physical books now, we have a little library here in town. As I actually finish a physical book, I take it to the little library because I just don't have room to keep everything. You only have so much space, you know. And I hate dusting and cleaning. You know, that type. I hate dusting. That's my main thing I hate about cleaning is dusting. And so, and clutter. I hate clutter. I want things where I can dust and clean around it without a lot of problem. So I pretty much get rid of my books. Number 7, do you use the library a lot? I don't use the library at all now, but yes, I used to use the library a lot before I got my Kindle. I would go to the library. I read just about every book in the type of books I read, like the Beverly Lewis, the Beth Wiseman, you know, all these other, Jeanette Oakes, all of these other type Christian authors. I read almost every book that was in our library in that section here in town. So yes, I used to use the library a lot. Number 8, how many books a year do you average reading? Now that I have no clue. Again, back in the day, I read a lot. And I go through spurts where I read a lot and then I just drop it and don't read it all for a while. And then I'll pick it back up. And I'm kind of coming out of one of those situations of not reading right now. But I have no clue. I've never really thought about it or tried to keep up with it. I don't know how many. I used to read a lot in a year. I know that, but I don't know how many. Number 9, do you belong to any book clubs and how many? Now, I'm assuming you're talking about physical book clubs that you go to and you have, you know, meetings and things like that. I have one time joined a book club, and my sister Shay at Sassy Granny Vlogs started it in the town 30 minutes from me. It was the town she lived in at that point in time. We had one book club meeting where we met, and we never had another one. That's the way my sister works. That is the only time I've ever been in a book club, so I guess you could say I've never been in a book club. We always called it shy when I was a kid, but I really, at this point in my life, I feel like it was more social anxiety, is what it's called now. I used to have problems. I still do. I have problems meeting new people and talking to new people. You might not think I do with the way I do my videos, but nobody's here looking at me. You know, I'm just talking to a camera is the way I look at it. You just get to hear it later, see it later. But I've always had social anxiety where I have problems meeting new people. I don't know what to say. I just kind of scrunch up, and I have a lot of, we used to call it nervousness. Now we call it anxiety. I didn't know how to talk to people that I'd never met. Now, once I get to know you, I can talk, but it's that social anxiety, that anxiety of meeting new people. So I have never put myself out to go to things like this. I have went to diet, like a Weight Watchers things, and feel so intimidated and so much stress and anxiety while I was there. I wouldn't go very long. I'd quit. I just always had anxiety about meeting new people. So I have never joined a book club, except, like I said, that time my sister was going to do one. We had one meeting. Okay, let's see. I've lost my place here. Where was I at? Okay. Number 10. What is the longest time you've ever read in one setting? And Patty said that naturally, during that time you'd get something to eat, go to the restroom, whatever. But what is the longest period of time that you've ever read in one setting? Okay, again, back in the day when I first got married, I was all alone, had no car, had no phone, had no communication with people, and because I had no way to, and so I would get up in the morning. I lived in a very small apartment when we first got married, and from, then we owned a little trailer that was just a tad larger than to be called a travel trailer. Very small trailer. And what was I saying? Oh, I would get up in the morning. It didn't take me very long to clean up my house because I kept my house clean all, if I took something out, I put it away. I cleaned after meals, I washed the dishes. So I didn't have a lot to do. I'd get up, I'd get myself dressed for the day. I would make up my bed. If there was any dishes to be washed, I'd wash them, which I usually wasn't because I did it the night before. If it needed sweeping or mopping, it didn't take very long to sweep, mop, and dust. I lived in a very, very small travel trailer type trailer. So I would get up, do my chores, get myself dressed for the day, and read all the rest of the day, all day long, until it was time for me to get supper for my husband when he come home. And that was usually around 3:30. I stopped what I was doing and started supper. And I read all day long. I didn't have anything else to do. You know, nobody I could call on the phone, no car to go anywhere. Um, you know, I say nobody I could call on the phone, no phone to call anybody. So I'd read, and that's back when I was reading. I did that every day because that's all I had to do. So I'd say all day long. I would say if you want to average the hours, probably 8 hours. You know, naturally I'd stop in between there to go to the restroom, get something to eat, and do things. But I'm going to say probably about 8 hours in one sitting. And that was every day. So, number 11. Were you always an avid reader? No. I did not start reading until I got married. I got married as a young girl. I was only 16 years old when I got married. And again, like I said, we lived in a very small apartment. I didn't have a phone or a car. And during that time, I read because that's all I had to do to keep me occupied, to keep from going crazy. But, you know, as life progressed, other things happened. I got a car, got a phone. I was able to, you know, go out, do things other than stay at home. I, you know, didn't read as much, and there would be periods of time that I didn't read at all. But I was a very avid reader just during my early part of my marriage. And then it's just been off and on since, you know, since I got a car and phone and able to do things. Okay, number 12. Were your parents readers? My mother was. My mother was, and she would still be if she could. She's 89 years old now and can't see good, and I don't know, she may still try to read some, but it's just been recently that she's got to where she couldn't really read much. But she's all my life, I remember my mom reading. Mom was an avid reader. Now, my dad, he only read if he had to, if it was something he had to, you know, instructions or something like that. Now, he loved to look through catalogs. Back in the day, we used to get catalogs, like he'd get tool catalogs, or we'd get the Sears and Roebuck catalogs, you know, and the wish books at Christmas time. And he'd love to sit and look at the pictures, but he didn't read unless he had to. So, yes, my mother was. No, my dad was not a reader. 13. Are you a seasonal reader? Yes, but only Christmas. I love around this time of the year to start reading Christmas-based books. And matter of fact, when I finish the book I'm reading now on my Kindle, I'm probably going to find me a Christmas-based book to read, and that'll probably be the type book, which I probably won't get but 1 or 2 read before Christmas is here. But I think I'm going to get me a Christmas-based book. I love to, around Christmas time, to read Christmas stories. And again, like I said, I only read Christian romance. So, number 14, do you ever go through reading slumps? Yes, I've already mentioned there would be times I would read, and then all of a sudden I just stopped reading, and that mainly happened after I started crafting back in 2012. I started crafting, and so I would really just have my attention on crafting and didn't really read a whole lot during that time. And I go through spells now where I'll pick up a book and I'll read several books and then I just quit reading. I do that. Number 15, are you a charter? Okay, what that means is, do you keep track of what you're reading? I have done that off and on, off and on, off and on. And I'll get it started and then I'll stop. For an example, I started a reading journal here in this book, and what throws me off is I try to do so intense journaling of it. Like I take pictures of it. I write what it's about. And doing that, then I get burnt out. I do it for such amount of time, and then I get burnt out. And I just stopped doing it. I started doing this journal back, let's see, did I put the date? I started this book on December 24th of 2024. So I was doing it for 2025. I was going to record everything I read in 2025. But I try to do such an intense journal that I get burned out on it. So the last time I recorded was July 27th of 2025. The book I started reading there was a love-inspired book. I put the day that I started it. I never did come back and put when I finished it. And I haven't done anything else. But I am hoping to change that. Another reason I had this pulled out here, I was gifted this book and this notebook by a crafty dolly friend, just Donna Maria. She gave me a date with a blind book, and so she sent me this book and this beautiful bookmark and this pen and this beautiful notebook that she covered and made really pretty. So what I'm going to do is I am going to use this for a book journal, and all I'm going to do is put the title of the book, the author of the book, the day I started it, and the day I finished it. I'm not going to try to put a picture of it. I'm not going to try to put, write what it's about or summarize it or anything. It's going to be more of a bullet journal where I just simply write down the title of the book, the author, the day I started it, the day I finished it, and keep track. And I hope to be, by doing it that way, I will be able to keep up with it in 2026 and be able to record how many books I read in 2026. So that is what I'm hoping to do. That's what I'm going to start doing. Hopefully, I will stick to it. I probably will start this book. I'm going to try to have all the books I'm reading during, and I only read one book at a time, but what I'm saying, I'm going to try whatever book I'm reading on in December, I'm going to try to have it complete by the end of December. I want to start on this book here, January 1st of 2026, record it, and start recording my books in bullet journal type, where it won't be something that I'll get burnt out on. Okay, guys, that is the answers to the 15 questions that Patty gave for us to my mind, gave for us to answer in the tag. She said she wasn't tagging anyone in particular, that she was just tagging everybody. I do want to tag one person. I want to tag my sister Shay at Sassy Granny Vlogs. So, Shay, get you a pencil and paper, write these questions down, and do a video for BookTube answering these questions, because I want to hear your answers. All right, guys, be sure to go over and check out Patty and Daphne. I will have their links in the title of this video. Go check them out. I hope you've enjoyed my video here and my answers to the questions, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.